They've been camped out since Tuesday in historic Allen Fieldhouse, waiting for what has been billed as one of the most important games of the season so far. For the 18th-ranked Sooners of Oklahoma and the Kansas Jayhawks, the hottest teams in the Big 12 Conference, tied for second place behind top 10 Texas. And it's with that backdrop that we welcome you to Lawrence, Kansas, with my partner Clark Kellogg, Kevin Harlan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, the Oklahoma Sooners have won 5 consecutive games, Clark. They have really hit full stride.
They certainly have, and you start with them along the front line. 2 experienced, productive seniors, Taj Gray and Kevin Bookout, 27 points a game, 15 rebounds a game, and they finish inside extremely well. But on the perimeter, it's been the play of Terrell Everett. He's a playmaker. He's really picked up his game, 19 points a game during the winning streak. He's also been helped by the emergence of Michael Neal as a vaunted weapon off the bench, knocking down 3-point shots.
Well, the biggest secret in college basketball might be the youngest team in college basketball here at Kansas. What has turned things for the Jayhawks?
Well, they are slowly becoming a non-secret when you consider how well these young guys have picked up their games in conference play. Rush, Chalmers, Wright, all better numbers in the conference games than they had overall. And you look at Brandon Rush, he is one of the premier players, Kevin, in all of college basketball, regardless of class. He can get it inside and he can get it outside. Mario Chalmers is a good hands man, a terrific defender. He also can score and set up other people.
Now let's take a look at the singular raising the bar game analysis.
You take a look at some keys for Oklahoma. They've got to play through Gray, get him touches inside. Kansas has to rebound their defensive board, and for both teams, they've got to make sure they squeeze the orange and get good shots.
It's the Oklahoma Sooners and the Kansas Jayhawks, next on CBS.
CBS Sports College Basketball coverage is sponsored by Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, where improving home improvement never ends. Budweiser Select. Finally, bold taste meets a clean finish. Expect everything. And by Chevrolet, an American Revolution.
The 2-time National College Basketball Coach of the Year, Calvin Sampson, in his 12th season with the Sooners. And they've got veterans Bookout and Gray on the front line. Terrell Everett is a dynamite-looking senior guard wearing number 3. Bill Self is in his 3rd season at Kansas. In fact, his record after these many games the same as Larry Brown and Roy Williams. You've got Kahn and Julian Wright, Robinson, Rush, and Chalmers, 3 freshmen starting for the Jayhawks. The Oklahoma Sooners have not won in Allen Fieldhouse since 1993, and the game today officiated by Tom O'Neill, Steve Olson, and Mark Whitehead. The Jayhawks have a commanding lead. They last met last season down in Norman with the Sooners winning. The Jayhawks beat Texas Tech here Monday by 34 points after winning at Iowa State by 10 a week ago. And Clark, the Sooners beat Texas A&M Wednesday by 8 after beating a dynamite Texas team by 10 last Saturday in Norman.
Well, Kevin, both of these teams come in here having played extremely well of late. They're on an uptick. Both coaches are confident that their teams are getting better. They're anxious to see how they measure up here against each other.
So here come the Oklahoma Sooners, 5 consecutive wins, 2 straight on the road. Kansas has won 4 straight coming in. They have been a winner in 11 of their last 13 games. So they have been playing great at the Jayhawks.
Well, Bill Self said they've been defending since December. Well, the offense has picked up. They've scored 90 points a game in their last 4 ball games.
And the freshmen have been leading them. Nice outside shot put in right there by David Godbold. He is a sophomore from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Julian Wright. And now Chalmers from Anchorage, Alaska. Gray is watching Wright. Nice rebound inside. Picked up by Russell Robinson. Sasha Kahn.
Oklahoma comes in as the #1 rebound margin team in the country. This time Kansas showing you how to get it done on the offensive glass. Sasha Khan converts in his foul, but good activity. That will be one of the keys today. Can Kansas stay with Oklahoma on the glass?
Kevin Bookout picks up the foul. Three-point play by Khan, who was born in Russia and grew up in Melbourne, Florida. Austin Johnson is a freshman with the ball against Chalmers, a freshman for Kansas. Taj Gray, who left junior college as the player of the year, the national junior college player of the year. His second season in the program at OU. And Chalmers knocked away nicely by Gray.
Well done. Good timing by Taj Gray. He typically elevates his game against the tougher opponents. In 3 games against ranked teams, he scored 25 points a game.
And he was terrific against Texas last week, and he puts in a runner inside the lane into the teeth of the Kansas defense.
I really think it's important that they play through Gray, and there he is again, a block shot, a hoop, and now a pilfer. That's impacting the game here early on.
The Oklahoma Sooners lost their first 2 Big 12 conference games. Since that time, they've won 5 in a row in the conference. A good steal here, picked up by Chalmers, looking for Robinson, and it's thrown away by Kansas. 2 turnovers on the Jayhawks so far.
Penetration by Chalmers denied by Taj Gray. And then hustling back defensively. Kansas likes to try to quick hit the opposition, pushing the ball up the floor. That time Gray got back and came up with the steal.
They go inside to the double team Gray, and that's a turnover.
That's where he struggles. He really struggles against the double team. You take a look at where the Sooners have struggled offensively. There you see they rank near the bottom of the league in a number of offensive categories. Now that is overall. And then you see how they do on the offensive glass, getting over half of their misses, Kevin. That's a ridiculous percentage in terms of offensive rebound.
It is indeed. Chalmers with the miss. Out of bounds off of Oklahoma. We told you the Sooners lost their first 2 conference games. Kansas came in the same way, losing 2 of their first 3 Big 12 games, ironically enough, to the 2 biggest rivals, Kansas State and Missouri.
They lost here to Kansas State. And then Missouri, they were up 7 with 39 seconds to go and coughed that one up.
Sasha Khan is being heard from early inside and gives the Jayhawks a 1-point lead. Their first lead today. Johnson, the freshman. They've got Gray tagged inside. There is a foul, and it goes on the freshman Mario Chalmers. #1 on Chalmers.
Well, you look at the numbers for Kansas. I talked about them, 90 points a game in their last 4. So they've picked up everything. The shooting is a big part of it. When you make shots, Kevin, not only do you look better, you feel better. And it energizes your defensive effort. And that's kind of what's happened for Kansas. They were always playing good defense, but now they've got shot making to go with it.
Wide open shot put in by Terrell Everett, a senior from Charleston, South Carolina. He had a couple of big baskets late in the game Wednesday against Texas A&M.
Well, he is what I call a thermostat. He's not a thermometer. He doesn't measure the temperature in the building. He regulates it. When he plays well, Oklahoma typically gets wins.
Last year, Kelvin Sampson in their 25-8 season called him the MVP, and I think he probably said the same thing about him this year as well, as the ball got tied up.
That's Austin Johnson, the impressive young freshman. He's been battling injuries, but he's got moxie and toughness that belies his freshman status and his slight frame.
Either team has made a change so far. The Sooners have beaten Kansas 3 of the last 4 meetings. They go inside to the very tough Taj Gray out of Wichita, Kansas. Rebound by Sasha Khan. Russell Robinson right to the rack. Wipe it away. He was fouled as he was taking it inside the circle. And picking it up was freshman Austin Johnson of the Sooners. That is the first one on him. This Robinson can fly. He's out of New York, and his emergence has made a difference for the Jayhawks. Last season, the Kansas Jayhawks had 3 players who scored almost 2,000 points apiece: Langford and Simeon and Aaron Miles. You can see here how young this Kansas team is when the highest guy has got 295.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kevin. Those numbers tell the story. 7 of the top 10 players for the Jayhawks, freshmen and sophomores. And they are a tremendously talented bunch. Brandon Rush, the most talented, and has been the most productive, although he's yet to take a shot here in the first 4 minutes. But there you see again, underscoring the youth of this team. Underclassmen getting the bulk of the minutes.
Young team now, one of the top 10 recruiting classes a year ago. Sitting right in back of the Kansas bench is the #1 point guard in high school basketball, Sharon Collins. He is signed for the Jayhawks. He's out of Chicago. He'll be here next fall.
Yes, he will, and he'll add nicely to what the Jayhawks are building here with Bill Self and his staff.
Jeff Hawkins has come in for the Kansas Jayhawks with Robinson. Rush is in there. They've got Wright and Kahn. Sasha Kahn for the Jayhawks is the game-high scorer with 5. And Oklahoma has not made a change out of that break. And inside, Rush! You may recall that name at UCLA with Jerron, and of course Kareem played at Missouri. This is the 3rd brother, maybe the best of the 3.
He is tremendously talented. Really allows the game to come to him, and he can impact it at both ends.
Godbold hit the first basket of the game. Gray looking for book out. It was kicked by Wright. And there is a whistle, and Oklahoma will get it. 15-14 to play here in the first half. And now Darnell Jackson is going to come in for the Kansas Jayhawks, a kid who has given him such great presence on the block and in the lane.
What kind of production has he provided off the bench? 10 points a game, 7 boards a game. He's had double digits in his last 4, Kevin, as Austin Johnson steps out for a minute. That'll be something to watch. Kansas will play maybe 9, perhaps 10 guys. Oklahoma won't go quite as deep, but both teams have gotten good production from their bench.
So Michael Neal comes in for Austin Johnson. And this is Terrell Everett, who has some space inside. Cookout is there to clean it up, and Gray pops it in.
Cookout doing a nice job despite not being a high riser.
Look inside for Kahn. Wright checked out for Kansas. We've already talked about Jackson. Near the end of today's game, we'll select the Chevy player of the game from each team to honor their determination and outstanding play. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution. Chevy, an American Revolution. Rush on Godbold to go inside, and Kahn played book out well. Shot clock at 17.
Nice job by Kahn to keep the feet active and to break contact to get around book out. You want to try to feed that post from a little better angle, though, than Godbold took there. You don't want to go from the top down. You want to get to that wing area.
Hawkins with the defense on the newly instated knee on the go-down court. Here comes Rush trying to snare an errant pass, and the turnover right there. The Jayhawks have 5 early turnovers, 2 for the Sooners. As Oklahoma has hit 4 of their first 8 shots. They'll bring back in Chalmers, KU. They'll take out Russell Robinson.
Well, we talked about it at the top of our telecast. One of the key items in the raising the bar analysis, minimizing turnovers. Kansas likes to run. They are young, and every now and then they'll get going a little too fast. Trying to free up Neal. When he's in the game, they look to set screens and get him opportunities to square up and knock down that sweet jump shot of his.
Kahn picks up the foul for the Kansas Jayhawks and assessed his first. Take a look at Bill Self. He played guard for the Oklahoma State Cowboys back in the early 80s. Was a graduate assistant here at Kansas with Larry Brown. Has worked his way through the ranks from Tulsa to Illinois and now to KU. And there is a foul, and it's called on Jackson. That's the first on him. It is safe to say in this game we've got a more experienced Oklahoma team against a very young Kansas team.
Without question, Kevin, that's one of the key elements for Oklahoma in terms of feeling like they can get a win here today. They feel like their experience and talent perhaps could be enough to overcome the talent and youth of Kansas.
Kansas takes out Kahn. They go inside. Oklahoma does with Everett. The tap in by Taj Gray. Gray now has a game-high 6. C.J. Giles has come in for the Jayhawks. Chalmers.
Boy, look at the energy of Taj Gray. When he plays with this kind of energy, Kevin, he is tough to deal with. He just doesn't bring it all the time. But in the biggest games, he is yet to not bring it. That's the 6th turnover for the Jayhawks. And again, that was an area of concern for the coaching staff. How would the young Jayhawks handle a pretty tough defensive team in Oklahoma that has experience and pretty good athleticism?
Rebounding is even at 5. Oklahoma with their biggest lead of 4. Gray looking for book out, and it ricochets off the shin. C.J. Giles, his dad played in Kansas years ago. Number 33.
Well, Kansas is going to try to get some activity inside from Giles at both ends, particularly defensively, because Oklahoma is really looking to try to funnel that ball inside to either Gray or Bookout. They haven't had much success yet, but that's really what they're looking to do.
Here's Neal. This has been the difference for the Sooners. He bangs in a three-point shot. He's had 4 straight games of at least 3 threes. He's been terrific, and the Sooners on a 7-0 run.
Well, not only can he stroke it, but he can stroke it quickly. And when you talk to Calvin Sampson, he doesn't just talk about his shooting, which jumps out at anybody who watches this kid play. I mean, that's a catch off balance and then immediately into a shot. But he also is a guy who does a lot of the little things, in position on defense, knows how to move without the ball and get into seams so he can get his shots off.
Taylor Griffin has now come in for the Oklahoma Sooners, taking the place of the exhausted Taj Gray, who leaves with a game-high 6. They try to get it inside for Giles. It's off the Sooners, and now 20 on the shot clock. When you get that outside shooter, as Oklahoma has gotten with Neal, the junior college transfer from Lon Morris, it opens up everything inside.
It sure does. Like adding charcoal lighter fluid to the coals on a picnic day.
A lot of fluid.
Yeah.
Here's Jeff Hawkins from Kansas City, Kansas. Darnell Jackson gets his own miss inside. Another offensive rebound for the Jayhawks. The freshman Griffin with the great play gets it out to Neal. Great drive inside by Everett, one of the best slashers in the Big 12 Conference.
Without question, he's a playmaker. He is a tremendous playmaker.
A 9-0 Oklahoma run, leading 16-7 from Lawrence. Oklahoma on top. Hey fans, for up-to-the-minute sports news, real-time scores, outspoken writers, exclusive video, and award-winning fantasy sports, go to CBSSportsline.com. With Clark Kellogg, Kevin Harlan, rocking Allen Fieldhouse and Lawrence, every seat is taken. One of the loudest buildings in college basketball, also one of the oldest buildings in college basketball.
And the largest in the Big 12. Just a fabulous college basketball atmosphere. Great tradition and history here, and the fans are knowledgeable and enthused, although they actually have been put on mute currently.
Kansas is the second place team in the conference with Oklahoma. Texas on top. Colorado plays today too. It's a 3-way tie for second in this Big 12.
How about those Buffaloes? Richard Roby is lighting folks up. Outstanding score for Colorado. Ricardo Patton's team. Right in the thick of things here in the Big 12 as we head to the halfway point in the conference schedule.
Shot clock at 3, and this is C.J. Giles out of Seattle, Washington. It's out of bounds, and it is off of Kansas. The Jayhawks at home are down 16-7. 14-4 Oklahoma has been ranked all season long. Here's our Kellogg's Crunch with a look at the Sooners.
So far, the Sooners have been snap, crackling, and popping, but these are keys for them to continue to play at a high level. Got to do it on the perimeter. You look at their resume here, pretty strong numbers, and they've won their last 5. So this is a team that is really coming together nicely. And just visiting with Calvin Sampson, you can sense an air of confidence and satisfaction with the progress that his team is making right now.
Well, Sampson has not won in Lawrence. No current Oklahoma player has ever played in Allen Fieldhouse. The Sooners have lost 7 consecutive games here. Here comes Everett. By Russell Robinson. Michael Neal. Picked up by Chalmers. Another freshman here, Taylor Griffin. Taj Gray is still out for Oklahoma with the shot clock down to 9. Neal, he's hit 1-3. Missing right there. Giles lost it as he came down. And a foul inside on David Godbold of Oklahoma.
Well, I love the way Taj Gray has started this game. Tremendous energy and effectiveness. Looking at the hole, chasing down a missed shot there. He's been active and engaged defensively, getting a much-deserved rest right now. I can't imagine he'll be on that bench too much longer.
Kansas offense has shot Clark 50% or better from the field 5 consecutive games. Today, 3 of 11.
Well, the activity of the Oklahoma defense, a big reason for that. Look at the ball pressure. Look at the ball pressure, Kevin. Then the nice rotation, and they're making Kansas work into the shot clock. Now they've got to try to find a way to get it to Russell Chalmers to make a play against the shot clock.
Giles a screen. Chalmers the drive. Count for 2 and a foul. That was a big-time play.
Oh, he's got a nice game. He's got the hesitation dribble. He's got a tight handle. Look, hesitation right there. Paused him, parked him, and then was able to take the hit from Taylor Griffin. There's that little hesitation dribble I talked about, going to the left hand. He's got a nice offensive package, and he's got a nice demeanor, too. He always seems to be under control.
Kahn comes back in for Giles for Kansas. Taylor Griffin picked up his first Sooner foul. Kansas gets their first score in over 4.5 minutes.
Chalmers is very quick with his hands and feet. Had 6 steals in a recent game against Iowa State.
This is Everett knocking it in. A bunch of threes so far for the Sooners. That is their second from the guards, and that is big today in opening up things down low with Taj Gray still on the Oklahoma bench.
Well, again, the perimeter shot making is really what's been key for Oklahoma to have this 5-game winning streak.
Oklahoma is the #1 rebound margin team in the country. They have more rebounds per game than anybody, and their margin over the other is +12. There's a travel. Then it goes on Griffin. And rebounding can do so many things for your team. Defense, you trigger the fast break.
Right.
Offense, you control your ball.
That's exactly right. They do it better than anybody. You see Calvin Sampson telling Terrell Everett that turnover was given to Taylor Griffin. But Sampson was telling Everett, don't give him the ball in that position.
Right.
Got to give it to him in a better scoring position.
Taj Gray has come in and Bookout is out.
Oklahoma mixing it up defensively. They played an effective zone defense in their recent win. And they'll mix it up a bit. Man-to-man here.
Robinson.
Well, they're challenging everything, Kevin. There have been very few clean looks at the goal for Kansas.
Terrell Everett with the ball. #2 assist man in the Big 12. Neal. Gray leaning inside. He was the preseason pick to be the conference player of the year. He's had a good season, not a great season, but he's had a good game to begin here this afternoon. Chalmers finding Jackson, who got good position. Nice play inside by Taylor Griffin of Oklahoma with a block shot. That's a freshman with good moves.
And good strength and good ups. They love what he brings off the bench, Kevin, because he can impact the game without scoring the ball. His activity is excellent. He can guard three or four different positions.
9 points has been Oklahoma's biggest lead today a couple times.
This is when Terrell Everett can be dangerous.
Finding Gray. Look at the series of moves in there. Kahn held his ground, and that was the key for Gray losing the ball.
Number 34, Kevin Bookout. He replaces number 32, Taylor Griffin. Brandon Rush checks back into the...
Rush will come in and check in for the Kansas Jayhawks.
I think they'd like to see Brandon assert himself a little more. It's been tough, though, because of the defense by Oklahoma. Here you see a zone being employed now. It's like a 1-3-1.
Bookout back in for Oklahoma. And Gray may have been reaching in right there for the Sooners. They're going to put it instead on Everett. He picks up his first personal foul. And the Jayhawks at the line. Interestingly enough, Kansas and Oklahoma tied last season for the Big 12 regular season championship, both finishing 12-4, although Oklahoma did beat Kansas last season. So here's Robinson at the free throw line for KU. Tomorrow, Dave's all new with Harrison Ford. Plus the late show Super Bowl wrap-up, and Tuesday, don't miss Beyonce. David Letterman's all new all this week on CBS. Oklahoma has not taken a free throw in this game, and this will be the 4th attempt by the Jayhawks.
Coming in the Jayhawk lineup.
Wright comes in for Jackson for KU.
Right for Darnell Jackson.
Well, it's a young team as you take a look at Calvin Sampson. Kansas, the top 7 scorers are freshmen or sophomores. With Oklahoma, all upperclassmen, and a lineup sprinkled with junior college transfers up and down, which Coach Calvin Sampson has done. He's had 25 JC kids in his 12 years there.
Well, they come from well-coached programs, and that's what Calvin looks for, guys that have been well-coached.
As you take a look at our game summary, not a lot of offense, Clark Kellogg, in this game.
Certainly in the last 4 minutes, Kevin, a combined 7 points between both teams. Part of it is Oklahoma's defense. The other part, I think, Oklahoma's done a nice job with their offense, running the clock, getting it, not turning it over. So Kansas has been unable to get anything in transition. 3-point shooting a factor for Oklahoma. Terrell Everett, Michael Neal, and Terrell Everett again. So that's really the 9-point, actually the 8-point lead. 3 threes. Kansas only 4 of 15, as you saw, and they haven't made any from behind the 3-point line.
Jayhawks have had 1 field goal the last 7.5 minutes. Oklahoma is shooting right at 50%, hitting 8 of their 16 shots. They lead in rebounding. They've had fewer turnovers. And so far, Oklahoma playing the kind of game they need to play on the road in the Big 12.
I agree with you. Relatively low turnovers. They're getting good shots just about every trip down. Kansas trying to trap out front to ignite some offense off their defense.
Junior Nate Carter has just come in for the Sooners. Everett drives inside with a rebound pulled down by Julian Wright. He was a top 10 high school player a season ago out of Chicago. Kahn. Robinson. Wright picked up by Gray.
And you think about it, Kevin, despite how poorly Kansas has shot the ball and the turnovers, it's a 2-possession game right now. And these young guys won't go away. And they've won a couple of games battling through adversity at Iowa State. Had a couple of big leads that got chopped and were able to still hold up and get an impressive win.
Oh, he carried the ball, palmed the ball to Gray. They've been calling it very closely this season in college basketball.
I think they've done a terrific job in the games that I've covered in person and the ones I've seen on TV. As you look at the freshman trio, so far not nearly to the level they've played at recently, but there's a lot of basketball left.
Terrell Everett will take a breather. Austin Johnson, the freshman from Amarillo, comes back in for the Sooners. Screen by Kahn, mismatch on Bookout. They get it off the rush, and a foul called on Carter, who just checked in. JC transfer from UC Riverside. First on him.
That is his first foul.
Just a poor closeout by Carter. He was off balance and out of position, and that typically leads to a foul.
We talked about Kansas's scoring woes. Oklahoma hasn't scored over the last 3.5 minutes themselves.
Both teams have been a bit stagnant here.
Everett goes to the Sooner bench with a game-high 8. Chalmers, a 3. Kansas has not hit a 3 yet. 0 of 2, and as Clark just told you, 3 Sooner 3-point hits.
That was a good look, Kevin, out of the double team. Kahn made a nice pass, and now Kansas forces a turnover with its defense.
Thursday on CBS, the new Survivor has just begun, and already the challenges are so intense that somebody wants to quit. Who will be Exile Island's next victim? Catch a new Survivor Thursday on CBS, America's #1 network. The Jayhawks have trailed by as many as 9 a couple times, closing to within 6 with 6:17 to play in the first. We've had a couple ties and 4 lead changes in our game in historic Allen Fieldhouse. The Jayhawks, a program normally in the top 25 at some time during the season. Not only have they not been in the top 25 this season, they weren't in the preseason top 25. And Clark, that's the first time for Kansas that has happened since the 90-91 season.
And I think that's really due to the fact that they were so unknown as a team with so many young players, and you never can base a preseason ranking on what young players could be. So until they actually had a chance to get out here and show, they clearly are one of the top 25 teams in the country now based on how they've played. But you can only rank 25. And there are a lot of good teams that don't make the rankings, but would be teams that could win a tournament game or two.
Chalmers with a sweet shot off the baseline for the Jayhawks.
I've been really impressed with this young man's game as I've watched him on the tube. Here he is, just creating an opportunity off the dribble. Excellent concentration, good strength. And look at him utilize the high arch to get that ball up and over the defender.
McDonald's All-America, Alaska High School Player of the Year. He led his team to 2 consecutive state championships. And he was coached by his dad in high school. Fundamentally, he's got a lot of things in place.
He's got the full package. The full package. And he does it at this end as well. You're not careful with that ball around him, he'll take it from you.
Kansas is on a 6-0 run.
Well, you see what Oklahoma's done, Kevin. Bageled in the point column and 4 turnovers.
When you look at the Kansas team, that is the #1 field goal defensive unit in the country. Not just the conference, but in the country. And yet Oklahoma is shooting a very respectable. Hand on it. Kahn rips it off the iron. Here's Chalmers. Rush has only got 2 points so far for Kansas. And that is a tie-up. And a good one it was by David Godbold.
Penetration. It's actually Austin Johnson who got in there,
Right.
Kevin. Well, Godbold was in the picture as well, but possession arrow gives it back to Kansas.
5.5 to play in the half. Right. Bookout really stationed himself well there.
Yeah, you can't move him once he gets anchored down.
Into Kahn by Bookout in time. We've got a 1-point game, and the Jayhawks are trying to dig themselves out of a 9-point deficit on an 8-0 run. Into Bookout, guarded by Wright and Kahn. Rebound by Julian Wright. And here comes Chalmers off to Russell Robinson. For 3, Robinson. Everett with the Oklahoma rebound. And that is a 3. Missed by the Sooners and out of bounds off Kansas.
Take a look at Sasha Kahn right here. He's going to get to the hoop and slide in, and Bookout gambles and misses. Kahn with an easy dunk.
Chalmers is out. Jeff Hawkins has come back in for KU. And Hawkins quickly picks up Johnson. Everett around Robinson. Another rebound for Wright. It's the senior Hawkins to Rush. What a play! Bookout over Sasha Kahn. Rebound by Taj Gray. A Kansas foul inside. Jayhawks down by 9, lead by 1, a 10-0 run for one of the youngest teams in college basketball, led by Brandon Rush. on top of Oklahoma 2019. Mark, let's take a look at the singular raising the bar game analysis.
Well, Taj Gray got off to a good start. He's got the 6 points that he had in the first few minutes. Second chance points. Kansas doing a nice job keeping Oklahoma off the glass, and then the turnovers. After 5 early on, Kansas has done a nice job holding on to the ball here in the latter part of the first half.
In fact, they had 6 turnovers in the first 6 minutes, none in the last 10. And coming up in the singular at the half, Gus Johnson, Seth Davis will get you caught up on the action in today's college basketball. They'll also have another edition of 6 for Seth. That's all coming up on the singular at the half. So 6 turnovers in the first 6 minutes for KU, none over the last 10. They're on a 10-0 run. Oklahoma has missed 8 consecutive shots.
Well, the defense has picked up for Kansas. There you see the field goal percentage. Oklahoma was in the low 50s not too long ago. 3-point shooting, all Oklahoma.
Looking inside for Everett. And it's picked up by Brandon Rush. Robinson around Bookout and inside. And Bookout grabs the loose ball. 4 rebounds for Bookout. 5 by Gray, leading all rebounders in the game. Neal and Everett, Gray and Bookout. Along with Austin Johnson, the 5 Sooners on the floor. Wright and Rush and Kahn, along with Hawkins and Russell Robinson, the Jayhawk 5. Everett to the left.
Bookout did a nice job of sealing what could have been a help defender in Sasha Kahn. And again, that wide body, 270 pounds, good active feet. No help available because of Bookout carving out space in there once Everett beat his defender.
Nice play by Gray, but picked up by Hawkins. And Everett with the ball with the game-high 10 for the senior, Terrell Everett. Honorable mention conference a season ago. Johnson to Taj Gray and inside to Bookout. Great pass by Gray.
Terrific action. The 2 experienced seniors working their tandem to perfection inside.
Bookout has his first 2. He is 1 of 5 from the field. Right.
That short jump shot is available on the mid-wing area against the zone that Oklahoma plays, and Wright has knocked down a couple of them, Kevin. That's good recognition by the freshman.
He has a look at a player who can play every position for Kansas.
Very comfortable out there.
Sooners have had 3 3-point hits in the game. They go inside to Gray. Good hit. Bookout, who tosses it in, and the Sooners up by 3.
That is so simple in its beauty.
Brandon Rush. Robinson is there around Bookout.
Kevin Bookout just tracing the ball. Because 2 defenders went with Taj Gray, he was loose on that offensive rebound on the last possession.
There's the hustle of Hawkins and an Oklahoma turnover. Well, since December, Kansas has played only 1 poor game against Kansas State. Will Self, we've talked about how young the team is. I was most proud of that, how week by week, game by game, they have grown. And you touched on it in the open.
Yep, that's important. You want to see progress, and sometimes it doesn't always equal wins until down the road.
Nice defense by Neal, picked up by Wright. How did he get that pass inside? Julian Wright pulls a Houdini. And Rush puts it in. We've had 7 lead changes in our first half. A couple of times.
Well, they're really giving Austin Johnson trouble with the ball pressure.
Into Bookout. Pushed out by Darnell Jackson. Picked up by Taj Gray with his 6th rebound. And a Kansas foul. It's on Wright on Gray.
What a pass here by Julian Wright. A beautiful flip over the shoulder, and he got it to the right guy because Brandon Rush knows how to finish. That's the 2nd nice basket that Brandon Rush has made inside because he knows exactly where he is at all times. But what a pass by Julian Wright.
Kansas has not mixed up their defense much this afternoon.
No, they're going to get into you man-to-man. Bill Self likes to get down and get in that stance and go after you. And he's got the kind of quickness with his personnel to do that effectively.
Neal to Gray.
Basket is by Taj Gray.
Taj Gray has 8. Game high 10 by Everett. No, Jayhawk in double figures. They're going to run it down to the final shot in the half, trailing by 1.
Make sure you go for a good one. I'd like to go, you probably ideally want to go 3 or 4 seconds so you have a chance for a second shot if you miss. I don't know if they're going to get that opportunity. Gray with the filter.
It is a pickup by Gray and a jam at the other end to close out this first half. The Sooners led by 9. Kansas went on a 10-0 run to take a 1-point lead, but Oklahoma comes back and they lead by 3 at halftime. The Sooners 29, the Jayhawks 26. A big one here in Lawrence as we swing you to our studios in New York and Gus Johnson.
Thanks, Kevin. Coming up on Singular at the half, Seth Davis and I will.
Our belief is that 4 wheels.
CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by Cooper Tires. Don't give up a thing. McDonald's. And by Mercedes-Benz, creators of the world-renowned S-Class.
We had 8 lead changes in that first half. Kansas was down by 9. Now they trail by 3. Oklahoma, Clark Kellogg finishes the first half 4 of 15. They really struggled down the stretch.
Yeah, they did, but that was because of the defense of Kansas. I thought they really picked it up. Take a look at the freshman for Kansas. Brandon Rush going to find the ball and find the hoop. He scored 6. Chalmers, part of a nice little late half surge for Kansas. What a pass by Julian Wright to the present Brandon Rush. Taj Gray, one of 2 double-figure scores. There he is working that offensive glass. 1 of the 9 offensive rebounds there for Oklahoma.
So some sleepy numbers, and ironically enough, it's brought to you by NyQuil as we take a look at our first half statistics.
Well, Oklahoma scored a couple of baskets in the half to get back into the low 40s. Kansas, after a very slow start, picked it up a little bit in that latter part of the first half. Amazing, Oklahoma has not gotten to the free throw line at all.
That is surprising.
That first 20 minutes.
Well, the Sooners went out to an early lead, 19-10 on a 9-0 run. Kansas came back with a 10-0 run to take the lead 20-9. Sooners have hit 3 threes. Kansas 0-5 above the arc. And here's Everett. He's got 10 and Gray's got 10. Are 2 high scores, both on Oklahoma. Sooners and Jayhawks tied for 2nd place in the Big 12. Oklahoma number 18 in the country. Took out over Sasha Khan. Khan with the rebound. And he's out there with Robinson and Chalmers, Wright and Rush. And Julian Wright slashing inside for 2.
By Julian Wright, the assist.
If somehow Kansas can pick up the pace and get some of those quick-hitting transition opportunities, it would serve them well. They're best when they're out in the open court.
Austin Johnson taking it inside, in there with Bookout and Gray, Godbold and Terrell Effort. That is the Sooner 5 with Oklahoma leading by 1. The Kansas freshmen, these much talked about young kids.
Well, you see Wright, he's got 8 as he scored early here in this first half, second half rather. But they're right on par for their averages with just over 19 minutes to go. Bill Self relies an awful lot on those youngsters, and they've been very productive, especially in conference play.
Everett with 3. Rebound by Rush. Gives it off to Julian Wright. 4-on-2. Nice defensive play by David Godbold.
Right that time just a little late in giving up the ball.
The 14-4 Sooners. Johnson, the freshman, for 3. The 4th from outside the arc today for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Boy, the pass that set that up was the pass before the assist, because it really put the defense in a bind, and Johnson was ready to fire when he caught it.
14-6 Kansas with the ball. Screen by Wright. Gray lets him fire, and a pickup by Everett.
Bill Self didn't like that look from Julian Wright.
Sooners come in having won 5 consecutive games. Johnson hoisting another 3. Offensive rebound by Taj Gray. Gray has had a good day on the glass with his 10 points. He's grabbed 7 rebounds.
Yeah, he's been extremely active. We talked about it at the start. His energy level is right where the Sooners love to see it.
And a foul goes on OU. Everett picks up his second. And here are the seniors. Great leadership and good players, all of them.
24 points between them, and there you see the 13 rebounds. Bookout and Gray have been very consistent. And Everett, again, I mentioned in the first half, he's the thermostat. He regulates the room temperature for the Sooners. When he plays well, they're hard to beat.
Jayhawks have won 11 of 13 games coming into today. 4 in a row. Johnson with the foul on the driving Russell Robinson. Sooners the 5 straight wins. Both teams 5-2 in the Big 12 Conference.
Second foul, second team foul on Oklahoma this half. Jayhawks fall inbound.
And Kansas has already lost a game at home in conference play. So if you were looking at this in terms of the conference race, it's really imperative that they get this one. It would be a huge win for Oklahoma on a number of levels. This year's conference race, and also it would be Calvin Sampson's first win here in Kansas.
A place where Calvin Sampson has never won. There's a travel. He is 0-6 in Lawrence. No one on this Oklahoma team has ever played in this building before. That's a pretty tall order. You know, he had the Texas A&M game midweek, and it was sandwiched between Texas last Saturday and Kansas today. Well, that's a very interesting 3-game stretch.
It really was, but again, when you've got some experience, Bookout, Gray, Everett, all seniors, and you feel a little more confident, although Calvin Sampson not too comfortable with that loss of possession. And Michael Neal stripping out of his warm-up jacket to enter the game. Godbold's going to sit out. Yeah, he was a little careless with that orange.
10 turnovers now for Oklahoma and 9 for Kansas.
Yep. Got to get shots. And Oklahoma, because they want to play more of a half-court game, Kevin, really important that they do get good shots every time down. This is a guy who could take it over. He wasn't passive, but he wasn't looking to do his thing.
He had 6 in the first half, and this is his first offering there. That is an Oklahoma foul inside. Bookout is in there defending and picks out his second personal foul.
Already the 3rd team foul on the Sooners here. I'll tell you what, you go in that paint today, Kevin, you better strap it on.
With Bookout, it's a
blackout. Oh, man.
Good feet inside. Chalmers off the fingertips of Sasha Khan. And tomorrow on CBS, don't miss Jenna Elfman and Dabney Coleman in TV's #1 new comedy, Courting Alex. Catch a new episode right after 2.5 Men. That's tomorrow on CBS, America's #1 network. With Clark Kellogg, Kevin Harlan, Allen Fieldhouse, and Lawrence. What a pass into Bookout and fed on the play beautifully by freshman Austin Johnson. Oh, and Rush diving in from the wing. Bookout with the rebound.
He's got to punch that, Kevin. With his athleticism, he's got to throw that down.
Johnson with another good feed, and Everett finding Gray, and it's loose inside and picked up by Khan. To Russell Robinson, the alley-oop to Julian Wright.
Well, that's a big turnaround there, Kevin. Taj Gray in the paint, doesn't score, and then Kansas in transition, where they excel.
And Neal for 3. And fouled on the play by Brandon Rush. So he'll go to the line, popping 3 from the stripe. Every time Kansas comes back, the Sooners kind of jiggle ahead. It's been that kind of game in Lawrence today on CBS. The Sooners have led by as many as 9 twice. Kansas has led by as much as 1. Now let's take a look at the power in the paint presented by Powerade.
Nice follow here by Kevin Bookout. Good hands, excellent tracing of the ball, and the nice finish, working his magic in the paint. Look at him seal out here. That's a Bookout blackout on Sasha Khan to allow Everett to get to the hoop. And there you see Kevin Bookout. Wide body, excellent hands. Consistent performer, and we opened the book on him. He's UPS ground service now. He's not giving you anything up in the air. He's a space eater. He's got a limited menu on O. You know, you're not going to get a wide variety on offense from him. The jump hook is his shot, and then otherwise it's follow-ups and creating space for other people a lot of times.
You know, Clark, he is a tough kid. He is playing with the fractured navicular bone in his left wrist. They've taped it. We just saw seconds ago they have re-taped it. He suffered it January 21 against Texas Tech. This comes on the heels of surgeries for his elbow, his shoulder. Before the season, had his tonsils removed.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is a walking Grey's Anatomy book. I mean, he's had about virtually every part of him beaten or bruised at one time or another as Oklahoma takes and hits their first free throw of the game.
Yeah, he's been a terrific competitor throughout his career, the career leader in field goal percentage at Oklahoma. And this is 3 free throws for Michael Neal, who was fouled by Brandon Rush on the three-point attempt as we went to commercial. So Oklahoma now trying to create a little more space between themselves and the Jayhawks.
So Neal hits.
Speaking of Bookout, the team took a survey, and he was voted unanimously as the worst dressed of his teammates. I guess he likes sweatsuits and house shoes to kick around in.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, he's comfortable. Comfortable over fashion.
That's right. Indicon against Bookout. Jeff Hawkins has now come in for the first time in the second half, and this is Rush. And loose inside, volleyballed around and picked up by Neal. Timeout taken by Neal. Oh! Yep, he got it. I thought maybe he traveled there for a second, but he got the timeout taken. And the Sooners will control. They've been in control the entire game. Up by 7 right now in the second half.
Everybody's watching the Grammys, only on CBS.
I love you.
I love you more. Everyone.
Kevin Harlan. Oklahoma is led by 9. Kansas has had 4 different leads of 1. Taj Gray is now out. 10 points, leading all scorers. Everett and Gray, who also has pulled down 7 rebounds. The Jayhawks don't have 1 player in double figures so far. And remember, Kansas is the #1 scoring team in the conference.
Yeah, and they've averaged 90 points a game in their last 4. You see Oklahoma doing what they typically do to the opponents on the glass, +7 so far today in rebounding.
Griffin is in for Gray. He's got the ball, met by Wright. Neal, he'll pop a 3. And picked up by Robinson.
Kansas needs somebody on the perimeter to get going. Chalmers has struggled today. He's got 6 points, but he also has struggled handling the ball, 6 turnovers, and that's part of the reason he may be sitting down right now.
Oklahoma is +7 in rebounding, one of the best rebounding teams in the country.
Well, everybody boards, not just Bookout and Gray, and there's Terrell Everett. When he's able to free flow, he is terrific. I mean, when he gets open space, he can make plays. He can get to the rim, and he can shoot the 3.
Right in there to pick up the loose ball. Kahn tries to tap it in. Bookout is there to gobble the rebound. He has now collected 8 rebounds today. Godbold and Everett, good screen out by Bookout.
Well, what you're seeing here, Kevin, is a team with a little more experience, a little more poise to this point. Kansas is taking some quick, ill-advised shots here. Had a handful of turnovers here in this first 6 minutes of the second half. Oh, nice job by Robinson.
And here's Hawkins to Robinson. Inside to Rush. And fouled on the play by Godbold, and Brandon Rush is now put in 8.
Good job defensively by Robinson. And then Rush knows how to find that goal. Well, that's a case where Godbold just has to let him go. There's no chance he can make a block on that play. And he compounds it by giving Rush a chance for a 3-point play.
Rush, who went to prep school last year, was looking at the NBA, pulled out of the draft, and comes to Kansas, where his family lives in Kansas City, so he's very close by, knew all about it. Jeremy Case has now come in for the Jayhawks, a sophomore from McAlester, Oklahoma. White and Case, and now they got down low Jeff Hawkins, and finding Darnell Jackson, another Oklahoma kid from Midwest City. Good block on the play. That's the second one handed in by freshman Taylor Griffin.
Boy, his activity, that shows you his athleticism and the ability to guard just about any position on the court. We talked about it in the first half. He's the strongest guy in the weight room on this team. Bench is well over 300 pounds. And he perhaps may be the most athletic as well. He showed you that by closing out on a three-point shooter.
Here's Everett. Nice crossover. Pretty play.
He's starting to feel it, Kevin. And this guy can just go off on his own. He doesn't like the color by numbers. He wants to get outside of those lines a little bit.
Right to Jackson.
Basket by Darnell Jackson and give the assist to Julian Wright.
Approaching 13 minutes to play in the second half. Hawkins, one of the better defensive players on the Jayhawks. Watching Everett. Screened by Bookout. Nice ball rotation and picked up by Neal. This kid has made such a difference from Mesquite, Texas, the junior Michael Neal.
He just knows how to get his shot off. Does all the little things defensively. Zone defense here by Oklahoma has been effective. It was effective in their win against Texas A&M. And has been effective in spots here today.
Neal's got 8 for the Sooners off the bench. Good steal, Godbold against Hawkins. And fouled on the play by Jeff Hawkins, who goes down hard, as did Godbold, who gets up a little bit quickly.
Another turnover by the Jayhawks. Chalmers having a tough time taking care of the ball today. Godbold coming right at you. Boy, and Hawkins took a hard fall as he tried to deny that opportunity.
Chalmers has had a tough day for the Kansas Jayhawks. He has 7 turnovers, does the freshman from Alaska. We've got a timeout. Great weekend of college basketball next week. Saturday, J.J. Redick leads Duke against Gary Williams and the Maryland Terrapins. Then Clark and I will be in Columbus with number 6 Illinois against number 19 Ohio State. Here in Lawrence, Kansas, in Allen Fieldhouse, built back in the late 50s, a place where Wilt Chamberlain had a chance to play as a young freshman. Out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, came all the way to Kansas. And one of many outstanding names and jerseys that have been retired that line the top of Allen Fieldhouse.
Joe White, Walt Wesley.
Danny Manning, who's on the bench for the Jayhawks over there. This is the national championship game back in 1988. OU and KU. Godbold. Biggest lead now for the Oklahoma Sooners today of 10. Godbold played significant minutes. His last season was winding down in his freshman year. He was playing sporadically. Before those last 11 games, he saw a lot of very, very crucial moments.
He sure did. A physical wingman that can shoot the jump shot.
The Sooners are on a 20-8 run. Here's Chalmers. Kansas is going with 3 point guards in essence. That's a turnover. Another one. 3-on-2 led by Johnson. Takes it himself. And the Oklahoma Sooners are on a terrific roll right now. They are shooting over 43%. They have forced Kansas turnovers. Now 12 for the Jayhawks. Another one, number 13 for KU.
Boy, that's a tough pass again by Chalmers. This zone has really rattled the young freshman point guard. And on the other side, this kid, Austin Johnson, has had a terrific second half. He struggled early in the first half with 3 turnovers, but since then, he's picked his spots and done a nice job running the Oklahoma offense. And right now, it's smash mouth basketball inside for the Sooners.
Playing well, Oklahoma, the 18th ranked team in college basketball.
CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by Powerade, Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection, and by the new AT&T, your world delivered.
We're back in Lawrence. Clark Kellogg and Kevin Harlan. Here is how our two halves have compared. Oklahoma led by 9 in that first half. Kansas came back on a 10-0 run to lead by 1. With the Sooners, Clark at halftime led by 3. Second half, it's been all Oklahoma.
Yeah, they've done a nice job. The zone defense has really contributed to that 31% shooting in the second half for Kansas. Turnovers continue to be a problem for the Jayhawks. That young man there, Austin Johnson, has had a terrific second half. He had 3 turnovers and no points in the first half, but has found a way to a couple of assists in addition to 5 points in this second half.
There's Taj Gray, who had the experience this past summer of playing for the under-21 USA World Championship team that went to Argentina.
And here's the book on him, double-double potential. He's a double-double guy, needs more FGA's field goal attempts. And I talked about it in the first half. He struggles sometimes because of shaky footwork to pass effectively out of the double team. But his energy level and production has been tremendous here today. He actually staked his team to a good start and has been there all game. And here's the zone defense again, Kevin, that I talked about. Little 2-3 action. Well, it's hard to actually determine what it is, this zone defense matching up. But it's been effective, I know that.
Well, and it's been different, and maybe the fact, Clark, that it has been almost with a different nuance, a different wrinkle every time Kansas has come down.
Right.
Has probably had more troubles for the young Jayhawks.
Yeah, good point, Kevin. Very good point. And the Jayhawks find a surge.
Christian Moody is coming for the first time for Kansas with the ball, with Case and Robinson, Cobb, and Brendan Rush.
You got to probe in there off the dribble some, Kevin. You can't just expect to pass that ball east and west on the periphery and get something good in terms of a shot. You got to stick your nose in there and be strong.
Jeremy Case for 3. Nice rebound by Moody. Picked up by Godbold. The Sooners are on a 23-8 run. Lookout is on the bench. Gray has 11. Everett has got a game-high 14. Slammed in by Taj Gray. And the Sooners have their biggest lead this afternoon of 16. Brandon Rush. Case again for 3. Another Oklahoma rebound. They have just been dominant on the glass. Now +7 this afternoon.
They're an excellent rebounding team because they're usually in good position defensively, and then they really chase down loose balls on that offensive glass.
The Sooners have knocked down 4 3-point shots today. Kansas is 0 of 9. Neal dialing a 3. Brandon Rush with the rebound.
And this is when you got to try to push it, so this zone doesn't get set if you're Kansas, but they delayed. And
good point. Rush for 3. Rush is putting 11. First Jayhawk in double figures this afternoon.
Well, it might be incumbent upon him, Kevin, to really look to try to charge his game up.
Here's Gray again, having his way inside all afternoon. Little bump by Kahn. Timeout taken by Oklahoma. They call a tie-up. They wanted the tee, and they could not get the timeout.
Penetration breaks down the defense, and here comes Gray, unimpeded, right to the rim for the throwdown. Give you another look from up top. You see Gray had a running start and flushed it.
Kansas backcourt of Chalmers along with Russell Robinson. They've accounted for most of the turnovers this afternoon. Rush has it, White is back in. Giles has just come in to man the pivot. And this is Robinson.
Well done that time. Got in there and got into the paint and drew the foul.
Number 21, Taj Gray. His first foul.
Gray picks up number 1.
Quick ball movement, and at the end of it, Robinson able to penetrate, expecting contact, and able to draw the foul. Despite the struggles that he and Chalmers have had, Kevin, still a lot of time left. So these guys can get it going.
Tuesday on CBS, it's the show critics call smart, quirky, and delightful. Tom Cavanaugh is terrific, and so is the music. Don't miss a new Love Monkey. It comes your way Tuesday on CBS, America's #1 network. Robinson again, he was the Manhattan Player of the Year in New York. And he rebuilt his game, Clark, in the offseason. He really struggled as a freshman, added 20 pounds, worked on his shot, rebuilt his game. And the fruits of that work are being seen in his sophomore year.
You love to see that with young players. Figuring out what they need to do and then being committed to putting the time and effort into making themselves better.
Points in the paint are about the same. Turnovers about the same. Gliding in is Everett. Comes up with the loose ball. Another offensive rebound. And Oklahoma controls. They got 13 offensive rebounds this afternoon here in Lawrence. Saved by Neal. Off to Godbold. Nice defense by Rush. Everett across the lane. Gray trying to tap it in. Bookout got a hand on it. And it's vacuumed in by Neal with a fresh shot clock, and the Sooners continue to attack.
What did Calvin Sampson tell us before the game? If we don't turn it over and get shots up, our next best play is probably offensive rebound.
Right.
And he just got evidence. We just got evidence of that right there. Bang.
Long three-point hit. And Godbold puts it in. He began the game with a long shot for Oklahoma. And a foul is called. And Bookout was trying to work his way inside the lane. Timeout taken. The Sooners in control. Good-looking lead for the Oklahoma Sooners, 53-38 with Clark Kellogg, Kevin Harlan. We began the broadcast by asking you about the Sooners' 5 consecutive wins, hitting stride. They have certainly proven that today.
They really have. They've been the more poised and the more physical team, and you do expect that because they are more experienced. I mean, you look at Everett and Bookout and Gray, but they've really taken control of this game because of their poise and physicality, especially on the glass. And they've gotten timely shooting. 16 offensive rebounds is what the Sooners have been able to come up with, in addition to the timely shooting. And the zone defense, Kevin, has really bothered Kansas. And though Kansas has shot much better of late, a lot of that shooting percentage has been a function of good half-court offense, but better transition offense.
Good point.
Today, they have not been able to get into the open court, and as a result, their lack of perimeter shooting has really been evident.
Good point. Brandon Rush for 3. He's in a couple in the second half. The Jayhawks are only shooting about 30% in the second half compared with Oklahoma's 38.
Well, he shoots 50% on the year from three-point range. And I said it a little bit ago, if somebody can ignite a run for KU, I think it's Brandon Rush. He's got that kind of game.
Jayhawks have popped 11 threes. They've only hit 5 3-point hits for the Oklahoma Sooners. Hawkins is working on the great three-point shooter for Oklahoma, Neal, and a turnover right there for the Sooners. One thing about Calvin Sampson's Oklahoma team, they always seem to peak, and right now this is the time of year where he begins to build one block at a time.
Well, they've had a very, very successful program under his leadership, an outstanding program. And part of it is the players get better as the season progresses. Tough shot there by Wright.
It was. Then they faced a zone as they came down. Sampson has been at Oklahoma 12 years. Began by telling you the 2-time National College Basketball Coach of the Year. 8 consecutive 20-win seasons, including last year when they went 25-8.
They're a top-shelf program. And perhaps they don't get the recognition they deserve for being so consistent under Sampson's leadership.
And they're overshadowed by a certain football program in Norman, too. Here's a good steal. Here comes Rush. Brandon Rush has been a one-man wrecking crew. He's got 16 to lead Kansas. 16 is a game high, and the Jayhawks are back in business. They trail by 10 as Sampson has come on the floor, and he is livid. This trio of freshmen sensational, but the guy in the middle has been outstanding. He has put in the last 9 points for the Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah, I've talked about it for the last few minutes, Kevin. He's got the kind of game that mandates that he try to step up and step out. He's a very unselfish player, but he's got to really be the guy that makes it happen. And so far, he's doing a terrific job of trying to ignite his team.
Full court pressure by the Jayhawks for one of the few times today.
Well, when they score, they're in a position to get into full court pressure. When you're throwing the ball away and missing shots, you don't have a chance to set up full court defense.
Godbold again. Knocked away by C.J. Giles, and he now tosses it off to Chalmers. And here comes Kansas. Wright against Bookout. Inside to Giles and foul. Some of these passes by Wright.
Oh, man.
Hard to explain.
Well, the coaches will tell you he's got the best feel as a passer of anybody on the team. Knew he was double teamed as he drove and felt that Giles would be loose around the goal. That's nice instincts on display by Julian Wright.
Well, the thing about Giles is, I mean, he's one of all these freshmen and sophomores on this team, and there was so much made of the group that Bill Self had last year. Simeon, Aaron Miles, but this is now as much his team as it's ever been. Well, these are his recruits. His fingerprints are all over the program now.
Yeah, it takes a little time for that changeover to take place. We're right smack at the beginning of it for Bill Self. And nice looking free throws there by Giles, and again full court pressure by the Jayhawks.
7-0 run by Kansas, under 6 to play. Robinson on Terrell Everett. Johnson inside to Gray. He's got a double-double, 13 points and 10 rebounds for Taj Gray. Johnson again, slicing his way inside. Bookout with the rebound. Giles with the rebound for Kansas. And they want to run. They've got to run. Right. Defensive lapse right there, and we've got a 6-point ball game in Lawrence. Everett with a corkscrew move. Here come the Jayhawks on a 9-0 run. Nice fake by Chalmers, taking it inside. Kansas down by 16 points has gone Clark Kellogg on an 11-0 run.
And all of that has been fueled by defense and points in transition. The last half-court bucket they made was Rush knocking down the three. But other than that, it's all been off the energy created by their defense. And we had just talked about it a while ago when Oklahoma had the 15-point lead that Kansas had yet to get into the open court. Well, guess what? In a matter of 2 minutes, they've been in the open court, and it's been spurred by their defense.
And yeah, the full court being part of that.
But you've got to score to put that full court pressure on. So they go hand in hand. Oklahoma has to be poised here and aggressive. They've taken some questionable shots, but you have to attribute that to the defensive pressure being applied by Kansas.
Taj Gray, a double-double with 13 and 10. Chalmers, Rush. Robinson for three. Picked up by Kevin Bookout. His 10th rebound with 6 points. Oh, and a steal, and it's picked off by Robinson. A 16-point Oklahoma lead has gone down to 2. Chalmers picks up the foul for Kansas. 13-0 run by the Jayhawks, who have lit up the crowd and the scoreboard. Moments ago was 50-34 Oklahoma. Look what Kansas has done in a 13-0 run as we check out our CBS Sportsline stat of the game. Get complete game stats at CBSSportsline.com. The fast break points the difference, but that leads to what Clark has been saying the entire second half during this Kansas comeback. The defense has triggered the offense.
It certainly has, and the offense has been carried by that man there, Brandon Ruggs. But how about C.J. Giles? He's come in and played 5 minutes here in the second half and has had a huge impact. A couple of blocks, a couple of shots changed, and he's also got 4 rebounds, and he's made a pair of free throws in this run.
Everett and Neal, Johnson, Taj Gray book out the Sooner 5.
This is where you expect Oklahoma to play through Gray or to allow Everett to create for himself.
Kansas with Giles and Wright, Robinson and Rush, and Hawkins. Shot clock is at 3. Everett's got a fire. Rush defending. A shot clock violation. And now the Jayhawks have a chance to tie or take the lead. Can you believe this comeback?
It turned quickly, but ignited by the defense. And then no empty trips for Kansas. They've scored every time just about, other than a missed 3 by Robinson, that they've had the ball. They've scored.
They dug themselves out of the 9-point hole in the first half to take a lead. Rush for the tie. A 15-0 Kansas run. They've hit 6 of their last 8 shots. And Brandon Rush has put an 18 for KU.
Not enough ball movement. They're waiting around and standing around too much, are the Sooners. The last thing you want to do is go against the short shot clock when the team's on a run.
Johnson, great pass to Book out inside.
Well, I love this freshman's moxie. Saw him against Villanova, even though Oklahoma lost that game in about 10 or 11 minutes. He made some plays that let you know he's got excellent feel and real good poise. He's going to be a fine point guard.
Right. Right again. That was saved by C.J. Giles, who tapped that loose ball.
His activity has been instrumental.
Digging themselves out of a 16-point hole. Kansas has come back to tie it for 2 times here in the last minute.
Fighting the shot clock again.
And Everett, who loves to penetrate. Taj Gray with a huge 11th rebound. He's in a straight jacket inside and can't get out, and finally Hawkins does. Now the Jayhawks can take a lead. Right. Russell Robinson.
Well, they let them play inside, Kevin, both ways, and I like that. Calvin Sampson wanted a foul. On that last play, guys were bumped and hit. The officials letting both teams get after it in the paint.
The Sooners haven't won in Allen Fieldhouse since 1993, and Calvin Sampson has never coached a winning Sooner team here. Everett with the drive, rejected by Giles, his 3rd block in this second half. Saving it, here comes Robinson, 4-on-2. Rush, slammed in by Wright, and the Jayhawks have taken the lead. Wednesday on CBS, it's music's biggest night with the once-in-a-lifetime performance you'll never see again. The Grammy Awards live Wednesday on CBS, America's #1 network, with Clark Kellogg, Kevin Harlan, Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas has gone on a 19-2 run since Oklahoma led it 53-38.
Well, you've got to credit the defense, but also what happens when a team makes that kind of run, Kevin. The team on the lead exhales just a little bit. Just enough. The team on the backside of the scoreboard is playing out of desperation. So there's a balance you have to walk when you've got a comfortable lead. You've got to continue to do what you've been doing. Oklahoma stopped doing that. Kansas got a run, picked it up defensively, made it tough for Oklahoma to get good shots or scores. And when they have had opportunities inside, the fact that the officials have allowed both teams to play with not much contact being called, Oklahoma has stood around a couple of times looking for foul calls when they haven't happened, and Kansas has gone the other way.
The Sooners have hit 1 of their last 10, 3 of their last 18 shots. 48.6 to play in regulation, with Kansas up by 2 in a second half that has seen an 18-point turnaround.
I think you got to go quick. Part of the problem for Oklahoma, too, is I think they've been waiting too late in the shot clock to get going.
Kansas has a foul to give. Neal for 3. Taj Gray with another rebound.
Boy, he got grabbed and held. No whistle. The Jayhawks wanted a walk. Now the shot clock is off, Kevin. So if you're Oklahoma, you got to go reasonably quick, I think, to give yourself a second chance opportunity.
Neal for three. Good! What a shot by Michael Neal. And Oklahoma leads by one. Chalmers. And Kansas retakes the lead. Timeout with 19.1 to play, and Oklahoma with the ball. The Sooners are down by a point, 19.1 to play. We've had 11 lead changes. 3 of them have come in the last 33 seconds, Clark Kellogg. Take me inside the huddle now of Oklahoma because they've got the ball down by 1 with just under 20 seconds left in regulation.
Well, they've got a number of options. One is Neal, who just hit a big 3 to give them a momentary lead, coming off some kind of down screen action to get a quick look, going inside to Gray or Everett making a play. The key for Oklahoma, though, is I think they've got to go relatively early. On the road, maybe Calvin might think about trying to, I don't think you can try to go for the game winner. I think you've got to try to go relatively early to give yourself a chance for a second shot. If you don't get that, now you foul. And even then, at worst, you're down 3 with a chance to go. So I think they've got to go relatively early. I'm talking about 8 to 10 seconds into the shot clock.
Swing over to Kansas. How do they defend?
Well, they're going to do what they've been doing this whole second half. I think they've got to pressure the basketball. Get out and pressure the basketball. Everybody be in good defensive stances, and be ready to help. And then you've got to go get the ball. Because on the glass, they're not calling much inside. It's just a matter of who goes and gets the ball. Good strategy here by Bill Self, I think, for full court defensive pressure. Don't just let Oklahoma walk up into their offensive set.
Oklahoma is out of timeouts. Kansas has 2.
Oh, Everett's trying to go for a winner here. They're looking to go for the game winner. They're going to open it up for Everett.
Rejected by Rush, picked up by Everett. And Rush has it with 1.6 to play.
Held ball possession goes to Oklahoma.
And Kansas looks to be calling a timeout. They had 2 remaining, 1.6 left. Oklahoma will get the ball and get one more try in a thriller at ancient Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence.
Coming right down to the wire, Terrell Everett. Terrific defense there by Brandon Rush. Everett has it right on line, thought it was down. It wasn't. And then a jump ball. Nice job by Michael Neal to force the held ball. And that means Oklahoma has it with a chance to win.
Kansas has a foul to give. Johnson will inbound. Gray, book out there. Everett, Neal. That's the Sooner 5. Chalmers will guard the inbound. Inside, Gray, and
he was bumped, but the Jayhawks have a foul to give.
Right, they had a foul to give. The clock at 1 second exactly.
You can't foul now if you're Kansas. That's the 16th foul, so you've got to defend without fouling.
Giles picked up the second foul. Kansas will burn their final timeout with a second to play. And the young Jayhawks holding on to a 1-point lead over Oklahoma. 16-point Oklahoma lead has been now lost. Kansas has gone on a 21-6 run. Oklahoma's got the ball. Jayhawks will defend. A second to play. OU will have it. What has Calvin Sampson told his team?
I think it's got to be a catch and shoot for Michael Neal. If they can get him loose, a catch and shoot for your best shooter. You don't have time for a bounce. And inside, Giles and Kahn have been tough to deal with.
And this is for the win. Kansas has won it. The Kansas Jayhawks have won, coming from 16 down. Today's Chevrolet players of the game: Taj Gray from Oklahoma, Brandon Rush from Kansas. Rush finishes with the game-high 18 in recognition of their great play. Chevy makes a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. The Clark Kellogg, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Allen Fieldhouse. Coming back from 16 points down. The Jayhawks beat Oklahoma. Coming up next, live final round coverage of the FBR Open. The young Jayhawks win their 5th in a row. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, our 25th road to the NCAA Men's Final Four.
At the FBR Open.